Welcome to another edition of the President's Diary for the period August 15 to August 22nd. I'm your host, Janelle Carter. Thank you for joining us. This week, President David Granger welcomed the investment of the wharf facility by Geico Construction and General Services, as he noted that efficient maritime transport is critical to a strong economy. New 10-point strategic plan for hinterland development put forward as President Granger opened National Officials Council Meeting 2015. Canadian High Commissioner and Chilean Ambassador to Guyana present letters of credence to head of state, and Ramadan Secondary School to be renamed after the late Dr. Desiree Fox. Here's a look at these and more stories. In an effort to reduce extreme poverty in Guyana, government will aid the charitable work being done by Food for the Poor Guyana Incorporated. President David Granger announced that his administration will make available 3 facilities to the organization, which would optimize their services offered to thousands of Guyanese. Food for the Poor Guyana Incorporated will receive 2 hectares of land free of cost for the construction of a larger premises for their operation. The president made this announcement while addressing those attending the Food for the Poor annual fundraising dinner at the Pegasus Hotel, where he delivered the feature address. In addition, the organization will be granted duty-free concessions on vehicles imported for charitable and developmental projects.
With effect from financial year 2016, we'll provide a fixed annual financial subvention to supplement the organization's work. Mother Teresa once said, "We ourselves feel that what we are doing is just a drop in the ocean. But the ocean will be less because of that missing drop." So tonight, however little you give, I urge you to give that little. Give your drop to fill the ocean of need. Drop by drop, child by child, household by household, neighborhood by neighborhood, region by region. Let us work together with this worthy organization, Food for the Poor, to provide a good life for all Guyanese.
As he applauded the organization, he marveled at its capacity to solicit and receive such extraordinary quantities of food, medicine, and equipment for distribution to the less fortunate. Food for the Poor has become the leading charity in Guyana since its establishment here 24 years ago in 1991. Its services spans persons of every race, religion, from across the country. On Friday, President David Granger was officially presented with his birthday gift, a school boat, the David G., which was promised by friends of the president and businessman Arthur Alfonso. The president said the gesture should be seen not just as a gift, but as an investment which will bring dividends in terms of education.
And I believe that what we're seeing here today is the start of what they call a virtuous cycle, the start of an economic revolution in Region 2.
This initiative, the president said, reflects the role companies should play in the development of their communities and region.
So, my brothers and sisters, this is not just a gift. This is an investment in you and your children, and it will pay dividends. It will pay dividends in terms of the development of this entire region. First of all, it will pay dividends in terms of education. We have a motto in this government that you have elected. I call it ECIS, every child in school. I don't want to go up the river again and hear children didn't go to school because they couldn't afford the passage.
Meanwhile, this is the second school boat that has been handed over to the government to aid in their quest to provide transportation to school children in riverine communities. At the end of every school year, the maintenance and servicing of the boat will be undertaken by Mr. Alfonso. This vessel, which has seating capacity of 40 and carries a 200 horsepower engine, was promised to the president on the occasion of his 70th birthday by close friends and the business community. As President David Granger welcomed one of the country's latest investment venture by Geico Construction and General Services Incorporated, he said by ensuring there is infrastructure to facilitate cheaper transport services, the competitiveness of Guyana's productive sector will be vastly improved. The head of state's comments came as he commissioned the Geico Construction and General Services Incorporated wharf facility and trail and suction hopper dredge at Nemes West Bank, Demerara. In applauding the company for the investment into this sector, President Granger said that this is a clear indication that the company is catering to the needs of the country in which they operate.
A strong economy requires that we catalyze our productive services and sectors by linking our hinterland to the coastline. The hinterland is the main repository of natural resources of Guyana. Within the hinterland, there are many riverine communities that are involved in logging and mining. These areas hold great potential for agriculture and agro-processing. We need better riverine transport to facilitate investment in these and other sectors of the hinterland. Investment in infrastructure will encourage investment in the riverine communities. Vessels like the one we will see this afternoon should be able to improve the quality of navigation in these waters, in our riverine waters.
He added that he is confident that shippers will take advantage of this new service and that it will stimulate more economic activities. President Granger pointed out that over the years, the heavily silted Demerara River has had a severe impact on the volume of goods that can be transported from hinterland areas since larger ships cannot access the river channel. This has had an impact on Guyana's export capacity.
Guyana could be the gateway to markets in South America and, of course, South America's markets in the Caribbean. However, as you've heard before, the constraints to the size of ships that can come into our ports prevent us from realizing that objective. Today, we are seeing an investment in infrastructure to reduce economic disparities and, I hope, an investment that will contribute to empowering the poor.
Over the next few months, the wharf and surrounding area will be developed into a packaging and manufacturing facility, which will serve the west bank of Demerara and other surrounding communities in the upper Demerara River. Meanwhile, also at the event, the president was presented with a boat and engine, which will be used to ferry children living in riverine communities to school. When the president celebrated his 70th birthday in July, he made a request for school boats, as opposed to personal birthday gifts. This is the second boat that has been offered to the head of state to aid in his effort to provide transportation for children who live in remote and riverine areas to get to school. During the past week, Indigenous leaders from around the country were afforded the opportunity to share their views on a new 10-point strategic and holistic plan for hinterland development, which was put forward by the country's leader, President David Granger. President Granger outlined the plan as he declared the National Tushaus Council 2015 meeting opened on Tuesday last. The plan will see the communities becoming thriving economic units, extreme poverty being eradicated, youth employment being addressed, and increased prosperity realized.
Your government will ensure that the livelihood of the residents of the hinterland is sustained, that the environment is protected, and that there is a new approach to hinterland and regional administration. Your government, as a start, iterates its commitment to upgrade the 4 hinterland regional administrative centers: Mabaruma in the Barima-Waini region, Bartica in the Kuyuni-Mazaruni region, Madia in the Pataro-Separuni region, and Lethem in the Rupununi. These will achieve township status before we celebrate our 50th anniversary.
Further, the president said his administration is committed to building bridges among all communities and groups in order to enhance the well-being of citizens, in addition to working to bring about inclusionary democracy.
Today, we are proposing a new partnership between this National Tushaus Council, who represent 72,000 Guyanese, and the central government. We propose government is committed to the development of the hinterland and to indigenous communities. We desire to see development with dignity, not with dependency. Your government wishes to promote a greater sense of integration between the hinterland and coastland. We're committed to preserve your cultural identity, to ensure your social integration, and to promote your economic prosperity.
The 10-point plan includes Hinterland Education Support Program, Hinterland Employment and Youth Services, the Hinterland Poverty Reduction Program, the Hinterland Infrastructure Extension Program, the Hinterland Energy Development Program, the Hinterland Happy Household Program, the Hinterland Indigenous Peoples Land Commission, the Hinterland Public Service Provision Scheme, the Hinterland Language, Cultural and Sports Services, and the Hinterland Tourism Service. This year's National Tushaus Council meeting concluded on Saturday and was held under the theme Steadfast Indigenous Leadership Towards Territorial Integrity and Sustainable Livelihood. Outgoing head of the European delegation to Guyana, Ambassador Robert Kopecki, says he is very optimistic about the future development of Guyana. Ambassador Kopecki expressed these sentiments on Thursday following a farewell visit to President David Granger at the Ministry of the Presidency.
I was pleased to tell him that I see a lot of potential for further development nationally, then close cooperation with the neighbors of Guyana, maybe being the closest for the moment in size and proximity Suriname. And I'm glad that the two presidents met last week and they are talking about the cooperation, because you can create any kind of nucleus of bigger bodies of cooperation both on the continent and within Caribbean.
Further, the ambassador said that the new administration's plan to move towards green energy should be applauded. He noted that Guyana has significant potential for the development of sustainable energy. Ambassador Kopecki also used the occasion to present President Granger with a token as a parting gift. The outgoing ambassador served as the resident ambassador to Guyana as well as the non-resident ambassador to Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, the Dutch overseas countries and territories for the past 4 years. He held the overall portfolio of head of the delegation of the European Union to Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, and for the Dutch overseas countries and territories as well. In honor of her immeasurable contribution to her nation, the life and work of the late minister within the Ministry of Education, Dr. Desiree Fox, will be now honored, as President Granger earlier this week announced that the Warramadong Secondary School will be named after her. The president made the announcement as he was delivering the feature address at the 2015 National Tushaus Council meeting at the Artachon Convention Center.
Tushaus, in closing, I wish to reiterate that education is important to everything that we do. And this morning, I wish to pay particular tribute to many outstanding educators who have been produced in our indigenous communities. But particularly, I want to recognize one who has left an indelible mark on education and an indelible mark on the indigenous people of this country. Today, I want to give special recognition to this person. I'm pleased to announce that the Warramadong Secondary School will henceforth be known as the Desiree Fox Secondary School.
The president told the gathering of indigenous leaders that it was the late Minister Fox who played an instrumental role in bringing the Akawayo culture into the mainstream education system in Guyana. And it is for this reason and her many other contributions that the administration is pleased to honor her. Meanwhile, in an invited comment on the announcement, son of the late minister, Mensa Fox, said that the announcement is a big step taken by the government and one that is appreciated by the Fox family. The late minister, who was also a former curator of the Walter Roth Museum of Anthropology, died on December 11, 2009 at age 54, following a vehicular accident. At the time of her death, Dr. Fox, along with others, was in the process of translating the national anthem into the 9 Amerindian languages. And now, here's a look at some other engagement which the country's head of state facilitated over the course of the past week. On Monday, President Granger facilitated a meeting with Pastor Merville Williams, his wife, Pastor Amanda Williams of Covenant Children Ministries, Bishop Ivan George and Apostle Michael Blair of Bible Way Church, Agricola, during a brief interaction with the head of state, the group spoke of the work that the church has been doing in the Agricola community. That meeting was followed by a brief visit from a group of international artists who were a part of a grand evening of music on August 15 last at the Anna Katrina Islamic Complex. Also during the past week, Director of the Government of Norway's International Climate and Forest Initiative, Per Frederick Farrow, met with President Granger. The Director and Coordinator of Guyana's partnership, Ms. Marianne Johansson, were on a visit to conduct high-level meetings with Minister of Governance Raphael Trotman, Finance Minister Winston Jordan, Minister of State Joseph Harmon, and Advisor on the Environment Gary Best on matters relating to the Guyana-Norway Agreement. Some congregation members of the Family of God Cathedral No. 2 Village Kanji, along with their pastor Karmanan Ramesh, were also facilitated on a tour of the Ministry of the Presidency during the past week. The group was also privileged to meet and interact with President David Granger. The president used the opportunity to tell the group about the daily operations of the ministry. He stressed the importance of an education, the need to stay grounded in religious teachings, family, and work. Meanwhile, the head of state was presented with a certificate of appreciation on behalf of the church as the pastor thanked the president for facilitating the tour, noting that his congregation stands ready to support any initiative that supports youth development in the country. Also, the head of state and First Lady, Mistress Sandra Granger, then on Friday joined the family and friends at the St. Andrew's Kirk Presbyterian Church to celebrate the life and contributions made by the late Christabel Hughes Nee Dean. She was the mother and mother-in-law of the chairman of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, and Minister of Tourism, Catherine Hughes, respectively. Also during the past week, two new diplomats presented their letters of credence to President David Granger, as the two pledged to work closely with the administration to strengthen bilateral ties. The two diplomats are the new Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana, Pierre Garau, and the country's first ever resident ambassador from Chile to Guyana, Claudio Rochelle Rahau. Here's a look at that story. Upon presenting his letter of credence, the new Canadian High Commissioner lauded the government's commitment to hold local government elections by year end and its effort at ensuring transparency and accountability.
Canada believes that the holding of these elections will promote our shared common values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law by strengthening the professionalism and accountability of public institutions. It will ensure that citizens of Guyana can actively participate in the management of their affairs at local levels, as you strive to build more inclusive and resilient communities.
The High Commissioner added that he looks forward to constructive dialogue and the collaboration with the administration, noting that Canada and Guyana's relationship has a great history and strong people-to-people link, shared commercial interests, and cooperation. The High Commissioner previously served as Canada's head of mission in San Salvador. Meanwhile, in presenting his letter of credence to President, Ambassador of Chile to Guyana said that the establishment of a permanent mission in Guyana is testimony of his country's commitment to the deepening of relations with Guyana and a movement to a new level of collaboration on the basis of common understanding and shared interests.
Today, we renew Chile's commitment to deepen and foster a relationship, Your Excellency, and to bring it to a new level of cooperation on the basis of common understanding, mutual benefit, and shared interests. Our relations is in an outstanding positive path. I come with Guyana with instruction from my government, and particularly from Madame Bachelet and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Gerardo Muñoz, to fulfill our desire to have an increased positive development in our relationship that is being the characteristics of our ties and make it unique in the CARICOM Basin.
President Granger welcomed the new ambassadors and applauded the decision taken by Chile's President Michelle Bachelet to establish an embassy in Guyana, which he described as a tangible expression of the desire of the government and the people of Chile to deepen the bond of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. That's all in this week's diary for the period August 15 to 22nd, 2015. But before we go, these were some of the highlights. Ramadan Secondary to be renamed after the late Minister Dr. Desmond Fox. President Granger says efficient maritime transport is critical to a strong economy. New 10-point strategic plan put forward for hinterland development, and 2 new diplomats present their letter of credence to President Granger. Do join us again next week when we will update you on the head of state's activities. I'm Janelle Carter. Do have a safe and productive week ahead. But in the interim, for more information, contact us via email at gina.gov.gy@gmail.com or visit our website at www.gina.gov.gy.